Greetings from India, Masters Fellowship and Vision Nationals. And I greet each and every member of Kenyon Hills and the team and the rest of you. I would like to bring a small devotion this morning from the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verses 1 and 2. Let me read those two profounding words. Now Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian. And he led his flock to the west side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. Verse 2, the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. He looked, and behold, the bush was burning, yet it was not consumed. What a profounding words these verses are. Moses had been in the wilderness for 40 years. He spent the first 40 years of his life in Egypt. Has got the excellent training from the Pharaoh's house because he was adopted as the son of the daughter of Pharaoh. And then at the age of 40, and then he left, and God brought him to the wilderness of Midian, and that's where he married a girl, and he married the daughter of Jethro. And since then, he has been tending the sheep for 40 years. And Moses had a dream while he was growing up as a young boy, that he wanted to redeem the people of Israel. But he could not do it on his own strength. He failed utterly. And when he came to the wilderness of Midian, he did not understand why he has been living here. He's just simply tending the sheep. And the time was 40 years. He didn't understand the difference between the training that he received in Egypt and how come this training was necessary for him. And for sure, in God's mind, Moses is the leader to redeem the people of Israel. This 40 years, probably you and I may call it with our experience, it is a quarantine time for Moses, probably. He was just relaxing in life. He didn't know what is going on. His dreams were packed up. He knew that he's not going to redeem the people of Israel. He was tending the flock for 40 years. But God knew this particular training in the quarantine, in the wilderness, in the dry land, is necessary for him, at least for two reasons. Number one, Moses was shepherding the flock. And God was training him pretty well to lead the people of Israel. There are two ways the shepherds are being trained. Number one, Moses as a shepherd, that he would take care of the sheep very well. If the sheep is sick, they care for them. If one sheep or one goat is behind, the shepherd will care for that one sheep. So God knew, as a good shepherd of the sheep, one day he will lead the people of Israel and he would care for each and every person. And the second reason is that Moses was in the wilderness for 40 years. So he knew that Moses had to lead the people of Israel for 40 years. And he knew the ways and the routes of all the wilderness now, so that he could lead his people very well. And now when we come to the end of verse 1, God had ordained on that particular day to lead his sheep to the west side of the mountain called Horeb. Horeb is a place, and it is also known as Mount Sinai. It is also known as the mountain of God. And God guided him to be there. When he left Egypt, God brought him to the land of Midian. I don't think that he was probably planning on going there, but that was God's agenda, God's program. Now on this particular day that God wanted to meet Moses, so God led him to this particular place called Mount Horeb. Mount Horeb, that's where God meets with Moses. God speaks to Moses. And this is where Aaron comes and meets Moses. And this is where Moses writes the 10 Commandments, the law of Moses. That's how we know that the book of Exodus was written by Moses when he was on the Mount Sinai. Now, I want to emphasize some important things here. Moses was in the wilderness of Midian, a dry land, for too long. He was there for 40 years. And he was feeling lonely. And Moses had no dream that he would lead the people of Israel, that his dreams were shattered. But now, because he came to the mountain of God, there's going to be a new fire that is coming up. Verse 2, we see that the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush, and the bush was burning, yet it was not consumed. The Lord appeared to him. The Lord appeared to Moses in a time when he wasn't expecting, in a time where his dreams were totally gone, and he had no dream of leading the people, and this is where probably he was thinking to die. So God did a miracle, that the fire was coming, but the bush was not consumed. This is a miracle. God always does miracles, even in the hard seasons, like what we face today. And Moses turns and meets God for the first time. Every time when we go through the dry season, when we're in quarantine, we don't know what we do. Maybe we might have lost our job. We had a financial problem. And this season may be dry, may be hard for us. We don't know what to do. We have dreamt a lot about our lives, and the dreams are not happening. But remember one thing, that God always meets with us at the time of our need, and He gives back our dream. He empowers us, leads us further, and that's what He did to Moses. And it's my prayer for each of us that God would empower us so that we would be revived, and our dreams would be revived with His power, so that we will be able to do what God desired for us to do in and through our lives. God bless you all. Thank you.